Our next segment in the Sunday Six is our Victory Unlocked. It's brought to you by Zillow. Agents, tours, loans, homes. MetLife Stadium might not be Saquon Barkley's home anymore. Man, it sure felt like it on Sunday afternoon. Sneaky, good looking game on paper. We talked about it heading into the weekend that this Giants team might be a tougher test than many expected for Philadelphia. Not so much. Eagles roll past the Giants 28-3 in a game that felt like it was pretty much over by the end of the third quarter. And the big reason why is the homecoming king. Saquon Barkley goes back to New York, runs over, around, past, whatever other synonym you want to come up for it. The New York Giants, 188 all-purpose yards on the day, 176 rushing yards, the second best rushing performance of his entire career, dating back to all those years in New York, comes in his first game back in New York. And the funny thing is, it felt like we were headed for another shaky, ugly Eagles performance. A lot of punts in the early going of this game, a lot of sacks. Felt like we might be in for a struggle fest. And then Saquon just kind of took over. Started on the fourth possession of the game with a 55-yard run off left tackle. He just went from there. The Eagles' run game felt like it snowballed. And everybody got involved. Kenny Gainwell had a nice day playing second fiddle to Saquon. And Jalen Hurts, I felt like this was the perfect Jalen Hurts rushing performance. And if you didn't watch the game, maybe you disagree. 7 carries for 22 yards. It's not going to pop off the stat sheet, but it was just enough to be impactful. Just 7 carries for 22 yards. But 2 of those runs were big conversions, a 4th and 2 conversion down in the low red zone, as well as a 3rd and long conversion on a touchdown drive. And 2 more of those carries were goal line touchdowns. So 4 of your 7 carries by Jalen Hurts are truly impactful plays. You limit him from the wear and tear and let Saquon do the rest. 17 carries on the day, and the Eagles offense magically looks like it's rolling. Probably more important to Saquon. Said, this was a big game for him, obviously. He said as much. He said he was talking a lot more trash in this game. Afterward, he was on the field shaking hands, hugging it out with all of his former teammates and coaches. He said, it's just business. Everybody understands it's all love after the game is over. But I do want to point out, this is just the second time in Saquon Barkley's 7-year career that his team is above 500 this late into a season. The Giants did have that magical run in 2022, but other than that, this is around the time of the year where it felt like his Giants seasons were getting away from him, and instead the Eagles bump up to 4-2 on the year. I'm guessing that matters to him, and it's something he thought about, given that his new team just pushed his former team down to 2-5 on the year. So that's the theme for the day. Had a chance to catch up with my guys, Chris Myers and Mark Sanchez, about it. Well, guys, regardless of how he might have been received by the fans there at MetLife Stadium, I'm guessing this was a very fun homecoming for Saquon Barkley in this win for the Eagles.
I got to imagine it's gratifying playing against your old ball club. You don't want to just beat them. You want to embarrass them. You want to have one of your best outings, and he sure did. 176 yards on the ground, springs the big one early in the second quarter there to get his team down in scoring position. And then anytime you got a guy like A.J. Brown on this Eagles offense, he is electric, explosive. That offense runs through him and Saquon. You could tell they made it an effort to really rush the ball today.
I mean, yeah, for every boo, it's like he was going to run that many more yards. And how about he delivered hits on some of the defenders? And as he told us, wasn't a revenge game, but it wasn't just another game. And he didn't want. He said, "I don't need to show them what they had, what they missed. I've done that already. But I just want to come here and help us win." And he did that and a whole lot more with a very professional attitude.
It might not always be as good as 187 total yards, but how dangerous is this Eagles offense when they can get the ground game going like this? They look so electric when Saquon can run like that.
When you get the ground game going, you get the respect of the secondary. They have to have that 8th defender in the box. And as soon as you do that, you got Batman and Robin out there. That's A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. A.J. Brown went off on that 4th and 3. They chuck it down the field 40 yards for a touchdown. Are you kidding me? I mean, when you have firepower like that set up by your rushing attack, it is nearly impossible to stop. And I thought Kellen Moore did a masterful job, their offense coordinator in Philly, of orchestrating this game plan.
Yeah, and that's the threat, Mark, right? Because Jalen Hurts can run, but you don't want him running too much. But
Exactly
you have
right.
Barkley, takes the pressure off of him all the way around.
It really does, and they give him quick options to throw the ball, quick options to pull and get down so he doesn't take those big hits. But excellent job by the Eagles, all Eagles today.
They were without their starting tight end in Dallas Goedert and 2 of their starting offensive linemen, and they still were able to control the game.
A really dominant win for Philly after kind of a hectic week there. I'm guessing it'll be a little quieter this week for the Eagles after a win like this. Guys, I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll have to see what Derrick Henry does on Monday Night Football, but that big performance by Saquon officially bumps him to 3rd in the league in rushing yards. He's behind Henry, who amazingly is already at 700 yards on the year. Jordan Mason also just slightly above Saquon after a 58-yard day for San Francisco. But a signing that really feels like it's paying off for the Eagles, because I think if they're going to get where they want to go, I think it is going to center around making sure Saquon and that running game are rolling like they were on Sunday. One more note I do want to point out, it's not always about the offense. Keeping an eye on it. This isn't the greatest sample size because Cleveland is notorious for not being able to protect the passer, and the New York Giants didn't have Andrew Thomas in this game. Very quietly, Eagles pass rush with 13 sacks in the last 2 weeks. They had 5 against Cleveland last week. They had 8 against the Giants, 7 of them coming against Daniel Jones. They were all over him. All those Georgia Bulldog defenders getting in on the action. Nakobe Dean, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, 8 sacks on the day. They had 6 in their first 4 games, up to 19 after the last 2. So can they keep it going? I don't know, but it's worth watching. Bryce Huff, the big pass rush addition, finally got his first full sack as an Eagle. If they can keep that trend heading in the right direction, maybe we were too down on the Eagles too soon, but something to watch. Just a trend worth knowing. We'll see if they can keep it going. But I said it already. I thought this would be a bit of a dogfight for the Eagles. Anything but, and big kudos to Saquon Barkley and that pass rush for getting it done.